What's up, everybody? Hey, I hope you guys had a good Labor Day weekend. This is Justin, and I'm going to review my other size comparison knife for you today. This is the Spyderco Manix in CPM SPY27 steel with the, I don't know what you'd call it, I guess I'll just call them teal handles. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one. I have another one, S9EV, with an orange handle. I'll probably do a review on that one. It'll be slightly different just because of the blade steel, but very similar. And then I have a third Manix with copper scales in M390, so that one we'll get a full review. The one with the orange scales may get just like a partial review. So anyway, yeah, this is a review, and let's go ahead and get started. So looking at blade steel, this one's in CPM SPY27, which I believe was produced specifically for Spyderco. It's one that they developed recently with Crucible, and from what I've heard from my research, it has similar qualities to like an S35 VN, but maybe a little better performance. I've used this knife sparingly. I've carried it some, but I haven't used it a lot. I know it does have one of the sharpest factory edges I've ever felt on a knife. And so yeah, I gave the blade steel a score of an 8. From what I understand, it would fall somewhere between like an M390 and like an S30V or an S35VN. Although I did give the Impinda an 8 for blade steel as well, so it's kind of like an 8.5. But I just kept it at an 8. You can maybe argue that it could be a 9, but anyway. So yeah, I think 8's a fair score for blade steel on this. This uses Spyderco's wire clip, which, you know, I think is one of the best clip designs. I mean, you can see here it has a nice ramp, retention's good, not too hard to get into the pocket, but not too hard to get out of the pocket. Has good retention. Just a very simple clip design. Very easy to switch the clip to the other side if you desire, if you're left-handed. It does not mark very easily. It's not painted, and yeah, I think it's an excellent clip, so I gave it a score of an 8. Looking at lock type, this uses Spyderco's, this is not the, I'm not sure if they call this the ball bearing lock. I think that would be technically the Dodo, but this is similar to Benchmade's Axis lock. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it functions similarly to the Axis lock. It has this spring here that when you open the knife, it sort of retracts, so you can see how it retracts as the blade's moving, and then when the blade comes to the open position, the spring extends, pushes this into the blade, and that essentially locks the blade into place. And I believe it has some kind of a ball, a steel ball or something, that contacts the blade to keep it open. So yeah, it's a Spyderco design lock. I think it's a really nice lock. It's not quite as smooth as an Axis lock to fidget with, to actuate, but the action itself is very smooth. You can see here, you can easily Spidey flick it, and then it'll close on its own if you just pull this back and kind of give it a little bit of wrist. So yeah, it's a good lock, very sturdy. Never had an issue with one of these. And yeah, these side plastic pieces that cover the ball are easy to grab. And yeah, so it's a little bit of a unique lock, but you know, that kind of defines Spyderco as a company. They're sort of unique, and that's probably my favorite thing about them. In terms of materials, I gave this a score of 7. These handles are FRN, which is just plastic, essentially. It's a sturdy, higher end plastic. And yeah, these covers for the lock are plastic. Has this steel part back here where the blade contacts when it's open, kind of like a stop. And then it has these steel pins and steel pivot screw, and then the back spacer is essentially a piece of FRN as well. So yeah, I mean, materials on this are nice. They're not super high end, but they're nice enough, so I gave it a score of a 7. FRN is known to be very stable, very high quality in terms of plastic, very high wear resistance. So yeah, in terms of the size, you guys have seen this knife quite a bit, but I'll do a size comparison with the Buck 110 here. So you can see the Buck's a little bit longer. The Manix is a pretty large knife. It's a tall knife because of the Spidey hole. And then the handle itself is also pretty tall. I'll also compare it to the Rayot Jack 2.0, which is another pretty long knife, a little bit thinner profile. So yeah, you can see here, it's a pretty sizable knife. One thing that really surprised me when I first handled one of these FRN Spydercos is the weight. These things are very, very light in the pocket, very easy to carry. I wouldn't say that you don't notice them. They're not like bug out level light, but they're very, very light for how large they are. And I think that's one of their best qualities. So yeah, so that's the size comparison for you. In terms of action, I gave this an 8. I know that may seem a little unconventional / unexpected, but this does have a very nice action. I mean, you can see, you can Spidey flick it easily, and when you pull that back and kind of wrist it, it'll close on its own. So it's, you know, for this unique lock style, it does have a very nice action. And these are fidgetable, although when you are fidgeting with them, you might want to watch, because I've cut myself as I've depressed the handle into my palm there, pulled this back and closed this. I've caught my palm with the tip of the blade as it's closing, so just be careful about that. Moving on to hardware, I docked this one quite a few points. So this is a T8 screw on the pivot here, but these top connecting points are all, and then even at the one at the back for the clip, that's a screw. I think that's probably a T8 as well. Let me check that. Yeah, it's a T8. But these top connecting points are all pinned, so you cannot take this knife apart unless you literally rip the thing apart. So yeah, not super in love with that. I gave it a score of a 4. Just not easy to disassemble. You really can't disassemble these, and the maintenance on them isn't the best. I mean, you can get in there and clean, but you can see there's a spring. You know, the handle scales are fairly deep, so it's going to be more difficult. You know, I mean, you can kind of probably half close it and get into there to clean, but you know, just not the easiest knife to maintain. So I gave it a score of a 4. Looking at price on this guy, I think I paid around $140 for this. I don't remember the exact price, but I think that's about what these go for, maybe like $143 or something. I don't know. Spyderco's map prices are kind of funky. I think it's a good price. I think for their FRN knives, they have them a little bit high. I mean, this is USA made in Colorado. You can see there. It does have this steel that's specific to Spyderco, so that's kind of cool. It has these handle scales that are specific to this steel. You know, Spyderco routinely releases new unconventional steels, and they'll pair them with a unique handle scale color. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, in terms of price, I gave it a 7. I think it's maybe a little bit high. I'd probably price it more like maybe 110, 120, but you know, 140, 143 or whatever it is isn't too bad. In terms of quality of this knife, this is a very well put together knife. I mean, you don't have blade play, you don't have lock rock. You can see here, these scales are very well put together. There's a little bit of a gap right there. Not too bad. This metal piece is nicely nestled between the scales. The lock actuates very easily. It locks up very solid. Yeah, just really, really nice. Just fit and finish on this knife. So I gave it a score of a 9. I believe the blade is pretty well nested, pretty well centered in the handle as well. Yeah, very centered there. So yeah, it's a really nice knife. Little on the pricey end, but I think the quality is, you know, if you look at quality versus price, I think you're getting what you pay for in terms of that. I think it's just the materials that suffer a little bit when you compare it to price. And then finally, competition. So thinking about competition for this style of knife, there are countless other, you know, XYZ plastic handled knives out there that you can purchase. You know, they have different attributes, different grip, or not different grips, but different like styles of purchase on the handle. Like this one has a very unique pattern around the Spyderco logo here to be able to grip the handle more securely. You know, Cold Steel offers like the Recon 1. Those are a little bit lower price point, but you know, different lock style. Looking at Benchmade that has a similar lock to this, you know, they offer some of the 940s that are maybe similar to this. They'll be a little pricier, maybe around 170. And then Hogue offers some. The Ritter Hogue is a nice option. That's an M390 steel. A little bit more expensive than this, I think around 165, but you know, it's somewhat similar to this. I believe those you can disassemble though. So just some other considerations for you. But yeah, so that's my review of the Spyderco Manix in SPY27. The total score for this guy was 51, so kind of in the middle of the pack, but I would definitely recommend this knife, or you know, any FR in Spyderco if you haven't handled one or owned one. Definitely check one of those out, even in one of the lower end steels. I mean, they're still great knives. One high point is definitely the ergonomics on this. I didn't really mention that, but the ergonomics on these they're excellent. Very, very secure in the hand. Have this nice area for your finger, the choil here, and up here it has this nice jimping for your thumb. Just fits in the hand really well. So that's definitely a high point. Very well designed. So yeah, I would recommend this knife. Check it out. If you have any comments, leave them below. Thanks a lot for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't. Have a good day, guys. See ya.